Nadim has something to say to Pro Pilana before we get into the first topic. Go for it.
Yeah, Pro Pilana, I'd like to congratulate you for avoiding the playoffs. You did well. I mean, win out of 38 matches, you win only 8. That's what's impressive, Pilana. I mean, not even 50%. You promised us top 4. You can't even make the top 8. But yeah. But congratulations, Mr. Pilane. I knew you'll make changes at Amazulu. Now they are safe. You are safe from.
Listen, I never wanted congratulations from Nadim. What's diamond card? Yeah, Shanga diamond card. Yeah. So thank you so much to the guys. They're back in studio on Monday between 3 and 6. Hey, it's Podcast Friday on a week where Bafana Bafana beat Zimbabwe, drew with Nigeria. It's on a week where we're putting together what we call the PSL 11. But most importantly, it's about 45 minutes ago now when Bongani Zungu has broken the news he's leaving Mamelodi Sundowns. This and so much more. Mark Haskins, Nadim Lukele, and Pro Pilane are the Podcast Friday crew. Welcome to it. It's 10 up to the hour 6 on the Mighty Metro FM. Mark Haskins, Nadim Lukele, and the return. It's off season, so he comes on. Pro Pilane today. There's a lot to talk about, simply because we're at Pitso Mosimane in studio. Pitso Mosimane is speaking about what went wrong at Abba in the Saudi Premier League, SPL, where he and his team got relegated. He speaks about how hard he worked in the team. He also tells us about playing against Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo scored a hat-trick against Pitso Mosimane. He tells us about the level of play there. Pitso even goes as far as saying that the Saudi Premier League, which is what we see the Sadio Manes, the Karim Benzema's, the Neymar's playing in, is way stronger than what the PSL is. He says at PSL level, players that play there, if they were to go to the Saudi Premier League, they play probably in the second division of the SPL. That's how good it is. And his comments, when you think about it, make sense, because the very guys that you speak of, Cristiano Ronaldo, N'Golo Kante, they're still playing in their national teams and will be showing up for the Euro. So maybe there's something to think about that there. And then the bigger conversation, and the one South Africa was waiting for, was in and around Kaizer Chiefs. Well, we had that conversation with Pitso in detail, even down to how Pitso likes to do the player acquisition and how we've known South African teams to work. We'll get into that and so much more over the next hour. About 45 minutes of chat with the three gentlemen. But the big breaking news happened about 45 minutes ago. I'll read you the post that was posted, then we'll get into it. Bongani Zungu will no longer be wearing the yellow canary of Sundowns. Cabo yellow, gone. Well, it's more gold, isn't it? It's more Brazilian yellow, actually, not canary yellow. But the Brazilian yellow of Mamelodi Sundowns. He has said goodbye to the team and wished them well for the future. If you ask me, you're going to be seeing a lot more of this at Sundowns. Probably 3 or 4 more players will be let go in this way. I say let go because I think that's what it is. I think Mamelodi Sundowns, with their new structure and how they work now with the technical director and the team they have, would have sat down, looked at Bongani's contract versus what he's been able to do. He's unfortunately been very injury prone. Rulani Mokoena not exactly finding a place to play him at the moment, all of those things. But this is not for me to say. That's why I bring on the guys every single Friday. Let me start with Ululubuile. Pro Pilane, Amazulu spokesperson, SABC sport researcher. Pro, welcome. Always great to have you.
Good evening to Andile, good evening to the Justice Studio, and good evening to all the listeners of this number one sports show in South Africa. I miss this place.
Oh, we miss you, man. And you're not alone who's out in coastal areas, because Pro Pilane, of course, in Durban, KZN. Mark Haskins, he's busy with Ronwen Williams and what he'll be doing back home. This is Enik Gqeberha. Mark, former Cosmos, Wits and Moroka Swallows midfielder, now joins us. You're in Gqeberha, I believe, Mark.
Yeah, indeed. I just flew in today, so looking forward to a great youth day event hosted by Ronwen Williams.
What's he doing?
Well, obviously he's back at his old primary school in his local township of Galvindale. And, you know, we'll be hosting a coaching clinic tomorrow and then have a tournament on Sunday. So it's going to be a jam-packed weekend.
Is this open to the public, Mark, or is everything done? People can't come in anymore? You guys have signed, sealed, and finished all your entrance, so to speak?
Yeah, unfortunately, it is a closed event. You know, they have earmarked the participants. It's all the primary schools in and around the Galvindale area. And so, it can get a bit chaotic. We unfortunately can't cater to the entire region. And so, it is a closed event and it's by invitation only, unfortunately.
What is he calling it? What was it? Is it the Ronald Williams Foundation?
It's the Ronald City Foundation. And this is basically his first event. He's launching pretty much the foundation and looking to do a lot of good work within his community and looking to give back, as that is the desire of most footballers. They want to give back, especially to their hometowns. And this is just his way of, starting and getting the ball rolling in that regard.
Well, thank you so much, Mark, for making time in the midst of all of that to join us. Nadeem Lukele, of course, is with us as well. Nadeem is got brand new things, big things happening. Do follow him on Facebook at Nadeem. That's Nadim Lukele. Because Nadeem, Facebook community where these conversations live and carry on?
Yeah. We'll try to keep it there, Andile. And we're trying to actually get different ideas from different people, because football is an emotional game. So it's it's a very interesting business. There are always people who have different ideas, but that's how football unites all of us.
Well, let's get into it, gentlemen. Nadeem has something to say to Pro Pilana before we get into the first topic. Go for it.
Yeah, Pro Pilana, I'd like to congratulate you for avoiding the playoffs. You did well. I mean, win out of 38 matches, you win only 8. That's what's impressive, Pilana. I mean, not even 50%. You promised us top 4. You can't even make the top 8. But yeah. But congratulations, Mr. Pilane. I knew you'll make changes at Amazulu. Now they are safe. You are safe from.
Listen, I never want a congratulations from Nadeem.
And let me not comment for now, but Andile.
Thank you very much. Ngwazunjalo, the forever diplomat. I appreciate you guys. Let's go straight into it. We weren't prepared for this one, but it hit us just under an hour ago. Bongani Zungu, who signed for Sundowns just over 2 years ago, well, just under 2 years, because it was in August of 2 years ago in 2022, will be leaving Mamelodi Sundowns. He said so, of course, in his statement on his Facebook page, where he said he'd like to thank the team. He'll forever support the team. He says the relationship that he has with the club is beyond the professional space. Sundowns will always be family to him and his entire Zungu clan. He says he's grateful for everything that's happened over the last 2 years and wishes the team well, Pro.
Interesting turn of events. Interesting to read what Bongani has left Mamelodi Sundowns. At the same time, we know that we can't be emotional about comings and goings of players. Football, I think, when he signed for Sundowns for the second time, I think he was aware that this day would come. And with the team also failing to win the Champions League, failing to win the Nedbank Cup, I think, to some extent, I think we knew that something like this would happen, even though I feel this has happened too soon when the club is about to go and play in the Club World Cup. But with the news of Jayden Adams being sought after by Mamelodi Sundowns, I think at the same time they want to make space for players of that nature. And I'm sure Bongani will reflect in his Sundowns career and feel he has done well, because that's where he has won most of his league titles. And apart from the one that he won in Scotland. And I feel that his career was worthwhile at Sundowns, and it's going to be a great asset wherever he decides to go next season.
Mark, surprise, yeah?
To be honest, yeah, I think it is a surprise. I didn't expect it necessarily just to happen in that fashion. Excuse me. Towards the end of the season, he was getting, a bit more game time than I maybe supposed to become accustomed to. But if you look at his overall stay at Sundowns, you can understand the decision. Unfortunately, like Pro says, this is the nature of the game. Ultimately, your contribution to the team, does it warrant, you getting a contract further? And as footballers, we know that ultimately you look at the stats and, has it been a flying success? Maybe the way they would have hoped when he came in. And I don't think it's quite translated. And I think, you reflect now, and in hindsight, you always look back because, if you look over the course of this season, he only made 13 appearances and only 2 assists. And so with the pecking order, when you look at the pecking order as well, when you look at the players behind him, players ahead of him, they're younger than him as well. And so it's unfortunate, but it makes sense, the decision ultimately.
Nadim.
Yeah, it's I don't know how it goes about. Did Sundowns release him or he just left Sundowns? So it's not clear there. But whatever the case is, he was no longer the player that was when he left Sundowns or when he came back from Europe. Remember, he played in Scotland when he was coached by Steven Gerrard for Rangers. I think his form just really... It's one of those players who came like highly rated. Even when Sundowns signing him back, they thought, okay, we just signed a player who was playing European football, will improve the team, but he didn't do any of those things. If you look at this past season, he didn't even score a single goal. Last season, he scored 1 goal. Yes, he played 30 matches, but some of the matches, he was not playing in his natural position. Rulana was trying to convince us that Zungu is a better defender, that he's improving, he's going to go back and become a defender. It didn't work out, that thing. We saw what Mfokeng did to him in the final of the Nedbank Cup. So wherever he's going to go to, you'll wish him well, because at one point in time, like 6 years, 7 years ago, he was the best player in South Africa, Zungu. Let's not forget that. But the way he's from, at 31 years, you still feel he was still going to be an asset to Sundowns. The way he's living, you feel like Sundowns, they've seen that, okay, he's no longer an asset to us.
Yeah, well, like I said, it came across us an hour ago, so the information is still sketchy, but it was a 2 plus 1 from what I understand. So it's the plus 1. It means that Sundowns would have been the ones that wouldn't have renewed the contract. And if it is so, it tells you the kind of team that Sundowns are foreseeing themselves be, when it comes to things like the Club World Cup that they're going to with $1 billion at stake. They may be wanting to boost that squad a little bit more. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, many conversations we've had with Pitso, plus Sekhukhune United have finally released their coach. Right, it's a breaking news as well. There seems to be a lot of breaking news. I mean, we've been seeing the players that have been getting released left, right, and centre by the different clubs, and of course, it's that time of the season, so it will happen. But the club statement coming out of Sekhukhune at the moment is that Sekhukhune United have parted ways with Coach Siema, and it reads, I quote, Sekhukhune United Football Club wish to announce the departure of head coach Letahonolo Siema. The coach's contract, which is set to expire on the 30th of June 2024, will not be extended. The club would like to thank Coach Siema for his dedication and hard work during his time at the team and wish him the best for his future endeavors. Ends. Nadim?
Yeah, it's expected. From what we've been hearing at Sekhukhune is not good for a coach. But anyways, he did well. If you look how he took the team from Brendan Tulta, it was like fighting relegation to top 4, a proper top 4, not like another top 4 that you can think of. It's a team that, like, it's Mamelodi Sundowns, Orlando Pirates, Stellenbosch, then Sekhukhune. He did so well with them, even in the Cup, Confederations Cup. He's a good coach, but obviously, football is not only about coaching. That's why I like Pitso Mosimane. It's not only about coaching. Also, even outside the game, after coaching, you still need to be a good mentor to the players.
Well, let's get into the topic of today, the plenty that we have. Perhaps let's start with Pitso Mosimane. Pitso Mosimane speaking about Ikam Rayers. He was signing Ikam Rayers. Ikam Rayers was on his way to the Saudi Premier League, and an hour before the deal was done and the window closes, Stellenbosch pulled out of the deal. They could have seen Ikam Rayers come back home with about 50 million rands. Have a listen to Pitso speaking about Ikam Rayers.
I think they felt that they don't have enough time to replace him because the transfer was closing. To say, okay, it's not a question of we want to release him or not. We want to help the boy, but we also will never have anybody else to replace him with. If there was time, I mean, they would use the financials to buy another player.
Mark, I mean, you sit in an end. I can imagine the frustration of every agent who was part of that deal. You're going to the Saudi Premier League, big money, big career move that side of the world, and an hour before the deal is done, you get told no.
Yeah, it's always a difficult thing, and you feel for the player as well, the prospect of what could have been. But ultimately, you also have to respect, the club and the way they do their business, and I've got huge respect for them even after hearing this, because they look at the bigger picture. It's not just about the one paycheck. And from the Stellenbosch perspective, will Ikam Rayers, first of all, he wouldn't have been there to help them achieve what they've achieved this season. Even in the latter part of the season, they've now qualified for continental football for the first time, nearly making it to the Champions League. They pushed all the way deep into the Nedbank Cup. Ikam Rayers, as you know, is one of the better players in the league. Almost got the top goal scorer prize. He's now in Bafana Bafana. He's played and he's almost made himself or earned himself a place in Bafana Bafana. Would that have happened for him if he'd gone to Saudi? So ultimately, it's the nature of the game, and yes, afterwards maybe we'll look back and say, "Oh, I could have made a ton of money," but ultimately you have to respect the fact that the way Stellies went about it, it's almost from what I'm gathering from what Coach Pitso is saying, they were trying to replace him so that they could get the deal over the line. They were trying to bring maybe another striker in to see if they could replace him or whatever the case may be. But they weren't able to get the deal over the line in time, and ultimately they decided to keep their man. And you have to respect that, because look at what they've gone on to achieve. So there's method to the madness. There's a reason why they had to do what they've done. And, it's not too late. Who's to say that he might not get another opportunity to go and make those millions ultimately, because he is a quality player and he has shown himself. But you have to respect the way they went about their business.
Pro, Ikam Rayers was set to go make a couple of millions.
But Andile, I had a lengthy chat with him after they won the Black Label Cup, and he told me he really wants to move to Europe in particular. But if Coach Pitso felt that he could have made it in the Gulf region or in Saudi League, I think it would have been a good opportunity for Ikri as well to go and exploit that opportunity. And I know that Stellenbosch are strongly linked with Sekhukhune United. Maybe if that signing came in early for Stellenbosch, I think Ikri would have gone to Coach Pitso and played the Saudi League, and he would have been a great signing for them. I don't think Ikri would have missed South Africa. If Fakhri is making it in Egypt, if Pesitao is making it in Egypt, I think Ikri would have done well there, and he would have earned his millions. I think as South Africans, we need to encourage our players to go and play their trade in those foreign leagues so that they can help the national team. And I feel sorry for him that it did not happen at that time, but I know that he's a good boy and it's going to happen for him in the near future, and one can wish him all the best. I think for a player that scored as frequent as him, I think most defenders will be happy to see him go, because he's quite a troublesome striker in the domestic league.
News coming out of TS Galaxy, just to go on the story that you're talking about, is that Sekhukhune Mojela has signed, and the deal is through with Stellenbosch. With Stellenbosch then giving a player as well, Qobulwakhe Mosimane will be going the other way to TS Galaxy, plus cash is what they're going to be getting for the signature of Mojela. Ikam Rayers, Coach Pitso says, I want you. The deal is almost done. 50 million is on the table for the career that he would have had in the Saudi Premier League.
He should have done anything in his power to leave. He made a mistake by staying at Stellenbosch. He's 28 years old. Remember, he went to SuperSport in 2020. He struggled. He scored 6 goals in 50 matches. That could be the only chance that you'll get to go in such. Maybe if you can go to Europe. You remember, when you are 28, most European big teams, they don't sign players from South Africa at that age. It has never happened. I don't remember any player from South Africa who was 28 years and got a major deal to play for a European team. That was Pitso's deal. I think was the best. He just made a mistake by letting it go, because if you look at his age, he's not on his side. Next year he's going to be 29 already.
In December, in fact.
In December. And then from there, who'll sign a 29-year or a 30-year-old striker? And looking at his team, it looks like he's compatible with Stellenbosch. That's why he's doing well and exploring. But at SuperSport, he was another player. But I don't know. Then I feel that he just made a mistake. Stellenbosch should have released him. I wouldn't say they were unfair, but for his career, if you are going to make that kind of money, they should have just released him.
1830, an ambitious club in Stellenbosch as well, clearly. That's the one thing that they're saying, is that they're here to compete. Let's stick with Pitso for a second here. Mark, I'm going to start with you here, but let me play it for you first. Pitso Mosimane says that if you don't have control of a club as a head coach, if you don't decide and make decisions, be it together with others, maybe a TD or SD, whatever it is, but if you're not involved in the acquisition of players and letting go of players, then the results should not be blamed on you, because you are clearly not the one running things. But let me not tell it to you. Hear it from Pitso himself. This is Pitso Mosimane on total control.
Well, you can do that, but don't be surprised with where you are.
But you wouldn't allow that to happen, is what I'm saying.
No, but
you
why
would
you
need
put
total control?
But why you put the
not?
results on me? You put the results on me, but you don't want me to put the team together. So when those players that whoever brought them don't do well, will you say it's me who brought these players? We feel sorry for the coach. I brought this player and that player. No, the results are on me.
So then that carte blanche must be on you as well.
Because I'm going to be blamed. The coach is going to be blamed for if you don't win.
Mark, you heard the man.
Yeah, that makes total sense. You can't argue with that logic. And that's a crazy thing. And, one coach once said to me that, you have to get to a point where you're not coaching with your stomach. And I think Coach Pitso has done enough in the game to earn himself that tag and not have to just be desperate and take any job or whatever the case may be, any opportunity that presents itself. Not many coaches have that luxury, unfortunately. And so he's absolutely right. At the end of the day, I've heard, in the space also where you speak to a coach and you recommend players or whatever the case may be, and the coach blatantly tells you, look, at the end of the day, I don't sign players. And some chairman, apparently the logic around that is, ultimately, if we allow the coach to sign players, if we fire the coach, we're stuck with the players that the coach brought in. And, that in itself is counterintuitive almost, because then, as Coach Peter was saying, the coach is ultimately, you are expecting him to deliver with coach players that you're giving him, not necessarily players that he wants. And so we've got a long way to go in that regard. And I fully agree with Coach Peter. The fact that you're going to be blamed or you're going to be looked at based on results, you have to be able to bring in the players that you feel will be able to do the job, because coaching has become so intricate where, you can't just sign players because they're good or because they play the cream of the crop at the moment, or the shining light at the moment. You have to
but Mark,
sign players that suit your style of play, and that doesn't always happen.
But Mark, what team in South Africa works like that? Let's not go to other leagues around the world, because we don't really know. We know what we've heard about how Pep works, and we heard Vieira the other day on a podcast speaking about how Crystal Palace were buying him players, and he didn't understand that, because he wanted full control. But let's come back here. We've heard Gavin Hunt speaking about, the club is probably going to sell this player, sell that player. I don't know what's going to happen. We know that he's not in control. We know Kaizer Chiefs have said many a times, and I think it was Bobby in his exact words who said what you've just heard said, to say when the coach leaves, then what? Their player acquisition is different as well. The coach says, hey, I need a player like this, and then they go and they source a player like that. And we could go on in this league of ours. Is there a team in South Africa that works in the manner that Pitso is speaking of?
Well, I mean, I couldn't tell you off there. I don't know how every club operates. The reality is every club operates differently. Their clubs do function based on, youth players coming through the ranks. They got it right from the youth rank, and they want players to filter through the system. Some players, some clubs operate where they literally get players that are free. They just bring in the best available free players or whatever the case may be. Everyone operates differently. There's no blanket approach. Nobody operates the same. But the reality is, as a coach, we're speaking specifically about a coach. I think the ideal situation for any coach is that you want to live and die with your own decisions. If you're going to be judged, you want to be judged based on the decisions you've made, on the players that you selected, the players that you've chosen to bring in. So if you're going to get bombed, you want to get bombed based on your own selection, on, doing things your own way. And so ultimately, I think that's what Coach Pitso is saying. So if you're not giving me the luxury to kind of choose the players I want, how can you judge me based on results? How can you judge my results? Because you haven't given me the tools or the arsenal that I've required to do my job to the best possible level. And so that's the rationale that most coaches would want to operate off of. Unfortunately, it's not the case.
Nadim?
I don't know what Mark Haskins was saying for the past 3 minutes, but what I can tell you is that generally all the teams in South Africa, the owners or the technical team, they sign players. We know that. Even at SuperSport United, Stanley Matthews is the one who's mainly involved. At Kaizer Chiefs, it used to be Bobby, then now it's Kaizer Junior. Orlando Pirates, we knew then it was Floyd Screamer. Now we know that Mpumi is the one who's more involved in transfers. That's how it is. Sundowns is a sporting director. Rolanda works with Flemingbeck. That's how it is. Worldwide, it's a trend. What Pitso wants is what it was done by Arsene Wenger, say Alex Ferguson before, where a coach will have total power. It was not only a coach, it was a manager. So Pitso, when he's saying coming in your team, he comes as a manager more than as a head coach. So basically, when you're a head coach, you usually, the team approaches you. This is the squad that we have. They profile you, the players. Can you improve the squad and all those kind of things? What additions do you need? If you feel like the squad is not good enough, then you cannot take this job. Just like Thomas Tuchel has left the Manchester United job because he felt that this team is not what you want to coach. Because it's not like you're going to come and revamp immediately they hire you. A season starting within 2 months. How many players are you going to sign? It's not like I'm going to sign 20 players, then bring on. It's not practical. Pitso at Sundowns, of course, Ncube gave him the luxury of building the team after a while. Remember, Sundowns spent 7 full years without winning a trophy between 2008 up until Pitso won his first trophy 2013, 2014, around there. So Sundowns, they did that. But before then, Trot Moloto, we know, was buying players at Sundowns. Sundowns was buying players. It was not the coaches. It was not Stage Stochkov or the previous or Neil Tovey. It was the management buying players at Sundowns. We know that for a fact. So it doesn't happen that the coaches...
No, when Pitso was at Sundowns, Pitso was in charge.
saying he fought for that.
Okay.
We remember the fans who used to fight him. That there were even people inside Sundowns who were fighting Pitso out because they felt that he was taking the signing powers from them. That's why they were saying, win or lose, Pitso must go. We know
also,
that.
remember, Pitso, wherever he's gone, he's done the same. That's why he was able to bring on a Percy Tau. That's why he says, I was looking to get an Ikam Rayers, because that's how he works.
Exactly, that's how he works. That's why at one point in time, I remember, we were with him at Orlando. There was a time where Pirates was celebrating 75 years anniversary. Pitso nearly coached Pirates. There was a time where I remember, I don't know if I should say it, but
then don't. If you don't know, you should say it, don't. I know you.
There was a time where he nearly coached another team. But another thing, one of the club owners said he felt like Pitso was interviewing him. He felt like he's the one. He felt like was the one who was looking for a job in the team. That's why they didn't sign Pitso. It's always gonna be different.
Thank you, Nadine. Thank you. I appreciate it. Let's go to Pro. Pro, it's a big one, this, because it really puts a big spotlight on whether Pitso will ever coach Kaizer Chiefs, to be honest.
Not only Kaizer Chiefs, but a South African team. I doubt there's a team in South Africa that can allow a coach to sign his own players, because the moment that coach leaves the team, another coach will come in and will want to sign his own players. It means every season you'll be offloading 13, 14 players because that particular coach doesn't want to work with those players. He wants his own players. So if you look at the South African context, I don't think it's possible. Maybe teams like Sundowns can give the coach that permission to sign players that he wants. But in most teams in South Africa, I don't think it's possible. So I also don't think Coach Pitso will be able to come back and coach in South Africa with that mentality. I think he needs to accept if he still wants to coach in South Africa, he must accept if he comes to a Metro FC, Nadim will tell him who to sign. So he must accept that part.
Actually, Andy.
But guys, Andile, if I can just say this, I don't think it's a case of a coach coming in and saying, look, these players are not good enough, get rid of all of them. All I think the reality is you want to be involved in the decision-making process. I don't think any coach wants to come into a space where he's not regarded at all in terms of the acquisitions the club is going to make. If it's a case of we sit down and we discuss players, and the management can also say, no, we don't agree. But it's a case of...
But Mark, we've heard in South Africa where coaches have said, I was busy training the team when a new player walked in, and the coach said, "Oh, hi," and the player was signed.
But that thing is a well-one trade. Remember when Tony Cruz was signed?
Okay, hold on.
I don't think there's any coach that wants. It's not an unrealistic thing where the coach just wants carte blanche. He wants to do whatever he wants, but he can't be disregarded in the acquisition of players as well. If they're sitting down as a collective management with the coach and we're discussing players and saying, okay, I think this player will be a good fit. Now we talk about it. But just to see players rocking up that you don't even know, you've never spoken about, players just shows up at training, I don't think that's a healthy situation. It has to be a situation where we can talk about it and make a collective decision.
Yes, Mark, it's working, it's happening, it's been happening worldwide. Remember when Tony Cruz was signed by Madrid from Bayern Munich? The coach, Rafael Benitez, at that time, he was not even aware that he'd have signed. It's not like he said, I wanted to Tony Cruz. The president and the sporting directors, they signed him. They tell you these are the players to coach. This one is leaving. Sometimes they don't even ask your permission that this one is going or not. That's how worldwide, when they hire you as a head coach. Arsene Wenger, gone are the days where Wenger and Ferguson used to decide and you are going, you're staying. Now it doesn't happen. The owners of the teams... Exactly, Pep, because he's that successful, he's the greatest coach in the world, and it's more of like a manager. Pep Guardiola, his role is not only head coach, he's more involved. That's how. But again, with that mentality, he can't go to Barcelona. At Barcelona, there's Deco, the sporting director.
He's just come from Barcelona.
Yes, but he said this week he will never go back to Barcelona. He left at Barcelona. Remember how he left after losing to Chelsea? Because of the structure, the way they were giving him players that he didn't want. It's difficult to coach those kind of, because it is like that. It's done worldwide. Pitso, yes, he has done that. Pilane is so right 100% that it's going to be difficult for Peter to coach a local team with that mentality of coming with 6 people. Now you want to bring another players that you want. In South Africa, it's going to be difficult.
Well, we're going to wrap it here as far as this one is concerned. I know it will go on social media, and we can carry on the conversation, really. Do we change the way that the clubs work here to accommodate coaches? But then what it means is, we're gonna, when we say 3-year, 4-year contracts for these coaches, it's gonna have to be 3-year, 4-year.
No.
So that they can be able to implement all of those
It's fine
things.
the way up, because you'll end up having agents signing players for the team.
It's 18:42. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, there's the Euros to discuss. And what do the gents think as far as this season's PSL 11 is concerned? All right, it's 18:45. It's somebody, who is it? Let me see the tweet that came through. It's their favorite part of the show. They started listening to the show, in fact, when we did it. Here is Cedric Rambau. No, it's not Cedric here, man. Where is it? There we go. It's Majestic Blaze says, the first time I listened to Podcast Friday was when you were discussing the PSL 11 from the previous season. Rukopa 2 hours. Well, unfortunately, not 2 hours. We've got 2 minutes per guy. All I want to know, gentlemen, from the season that we've just had, who's your PSL 11's goalkeeper and back four? We're playing a back four. You can change it to a 3 maybe, but we're picking a PSL 11 from the season that we've just had. Goalkeeper, many might say, speaks for itself, but surely, there's a Nwabali who made more saves than any other keeper in the DStv Premiership who gets a nod in there. Let me start with Pro. Pro, your goalkeeper and back four of the season in the PSL 11 of the season.
Goalkeeper put Andile is definitely Ronwen Williams. I don't need to explain anything. I think it's there for everyone to see. Best right back on the continent is definitely Khuliso Mudau. I think there's no competition for him in the space. Best left back on the continent or in the DStv Premiership for me, it's Ryan Hanamoop. There's no competition again for him if you look at his contribution at his club. And he's the most dangerous player at left back for Amazulu. So you can see what this player is good. Centre backs, definitely. I'll look at Simphiwe Mcinega as Richards Bay, unpopular, unsung hero, but for me he's one of the best and very, 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 very competitive boy. And between Grant Kekana and Ture Stellenbosch, I'll go for Ture Stellenbosch. And that's my complete back four and the goalkeeper.
Please, just for the purpose of those listening, you've explained why. Tell me again. Defender and your back four, just the names. I'm saying, just for the benefit of those listening, give us your goalkeeper and your back four, just the names, no explanation.
Ronwen Williams, goalkeeper, right back, Khuliso Mudau, left back, Ryan Hanamoop,
yeah.
The two center back is Mcinega of Richards Bay and the Ture of Stellenbosch.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. That is Hanamoop, Mcinega, and Mudau. I'm missing one. Who am I missing?
Mudau, Hanamoop, Mcinega, and Ture.
Ture, yes. That's who I was missing there. Mark, who's your back four plus keeper?
Again, I think, obviously Ronwen Williams in goal. Basadin from Stellenbosch at left back. Ture from Stellenbosch at centre back. Olisa Nda at centre back. And then the best right back in the world at right back, Khuliso Mudau.
Wow, I didn't see that one coming. Okay, just give it to us again. Ronwen?
So Ronwen Williams in goal. Left back, Basadin from Stellenbosch. Ture from Stellenbosch at centre back. Olisa Nda at centre back. And then Khuliso Mudau, best right back in the world at right back.
Jeez, only 2 players three that you're choosing are the same. You're changing your central to Nda there instead of Mcinega. I see there. And Hanamoop, of course, you're choosing Pastor Dean. Okay. Nadim?
Yeah, I like the Ture part at Stellenbosch. He has done very well. I mean, it's one of those players who started the season on a high note. even scored against Pirates. And then when you look Williams, like 15 clean sheets in the league, considered only 8 goals, is by far the best. Then Mtau, number obvious. Mtau has done really well.
Best right back in the world.
Yeah, not it's in South Africa.
No, in the world.
No, not in the world. And then in the left, Modiba for me. Hanama, I know that is going to be a good addition for Pirates next season. But if you look at Modiba, that guy is too. Don't say wish.
Give me your 4.
Okay, yeah, it's Williams.
So Mudiba, Mudau, who's in the central pairing for
Central, it's, Nda is that good. Nda and Torre. Kekana, I know, he's done well.
Guys, so Kekana doesn't get a nod in?
In terms of quality, Nda is a game changer. When he plays, you can see. The reason why I tipped Sundowns to beat Pirates, that they will lose in the final, I knew Nda will start for Pirates. I didn't care who is going to start with. I knew he was full fit to play. He is that good. He's a game changer. And then Mtau, of course, he's a Bafana star. He just doesn't make mistakes. Then if you look at also Torre at Stellenbosch, he's been so consistent. And if you look at the number of games, obviously, he's played more games, Torre, compared to Kekan.
Next week, we'll do the midfield. And then in the third week, which is the last, we'll then do up front. Or maybe we'll just combine them next week. But that's what it looks like at the moment. Ronan Williams is the only thing that the guys all, and Mudau, perhaps, agree on. Those are the only 2 that you agree on. The rest don't agree on. There's Mudiba for Nadim, Torre for Nadim and Mark, and there's Nda for Mark and Nadim again, and there's Mklenega Nomture there for Pro. Yeah, nah, that's the back 4 of the season, the best 11 so far. Let's take a break.
You don't need to protest in the streets to emulate the youth of 76.
While the protest was intended to be peaceful, it ended in tragedy.
Just stand up for your beliefs.
Learn more about our culture.
Metro FM, celebrating the leaders of tomorrow, today. Sports Night Amplified with Andile on Metro FM.
Biographer of Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic, a man that we're always excited to have. Chris Bowers now joins us. Chris, is there a time when we're going to start speaking about leave while you're still great?
Well, I think you need a crystal ball, Andile, because how do you know? I remember being asked the day Roger Federer lost in the Wimbledon quarterfinals, which would have been 2010. People are saying, oh, is this the end of Federer? Now, if he believed that stuff, we wouldn't have had his Wimbledon title of 2012. We wouldn't have had his amazing Australian Open title of 2017. Djokovic last year won 3 of the 4 major titles. Who says that he can't win another major? You have to let these people decide. One of the attributes that makes a champion is that they're incredibly stubborn, and therefore they go on when the likes of you and me are saying, oh, you really should stop now, you know.
6 to 7 p.m.
All right, you've heard the guys. We spoke about Pitso. We spoke about Bafana Bafana. We didn't speak about Bafana Bafana, in fact. Very quickly, before we take your calls on 086 0002160, voice notes on 060 552 7303. Bafana, 2 games, Nigeria and Zimbabwe, Nadim.
Yeah, they did well against Zimbabwe. Of course, Zimbabwe, they look like the weakest team in the group. It's going to be like that. They will finish in the bottom of. I think everyone who plays Zimbabwe will win there. There's nothing. I mean, the coach, you can see, still learning on the job. Yeah, Zifa, they should have gotten an experienced coach if they want to qualify. But of course, the coach did say they are not getting support from the government. The government is busy with elections or something like that. So the team is like, they're just trying to do things on their own. Against Nigeria, they did well. I mean, getting a draw in Nigeria is difficult.
Pro?
For me, Bafana did well in both games. They played well against Nigeria. We had chances to win the match, but unfortunately it didn't happen. Against Zimbabwe, just give it to the people of Bloemfontein. I think they created the best atmosphere, and big up to Rene Mofokeng for making his debut. And I think Bafana's got a future. As long as we support the coach and we support his vision, I think the sky's the limit for us.
Mark?
I think this has been probably the best Bafana team we've seen in 10 years, to be honest. And I'm speaking about the fact that we are seeing a clear identity with the national team, and that we haven't had in a very long time. So when you see Bafana play, we know exactly what to expect. You know kind of what the lineup is going to be. We know the style of play, the way they're going to go about their business. And I appreciate that because we now have almost a clear identity, whereas in the last couple of years we haven't had that. And so I think it was magnificent performances. Maybe Nadim, you can say Zimbabwe is not that great. They're a shocking team. They still need to be beaten on the day. And how many times have we played against teams in the past that we should be beating, that we should be walking over, but we haven't been able to do it. So I don't want to take any credit away from this Bafana team. I think they've done exceptionally well. Credit to Hugo Bruce. I think he's been fantastic in the job. And I'm really happy with the space we're in right now with Bafana, and long may it continue.
The Euros this evening, guys, it's kicking off this weekend. Is going to be Euro-filled. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. But, I mean, it's something that we're all looking forward to. The Euros are going to be occupying us for a while now. I think the first big game is Germany-Scotland.
What about it?
Yeah, you tell me. What about it?
Yeah, Germany are playing at home. They are one of the favorites to win the tournament, so they should easily beat Scotland at home. And then if you look at my favorites to win the Euro, I'll go with France. I think they've got too much quality.
Mark?
Germany have never really performed lately. We've seen the last two World Cups where they basically got knocked out in the group phase. So, yeah, Germany flattered to receive at best. They've got quality players, but can they be brought together on the day? It's always going to be tough. They really have to show up. I think they've let their country down in recent major tournaments, and they've got a lot to prove. Obviously, the African team in the Euros is the one.
So what are you saying? Are you saying they're going to beat Scotland or lose? You just say... What are you saying, Mark? They will win or lose?
Germany in the past, it's a guaranteed result against Scotland. This Germany team, I don't think we can say that.
At the end, what are you saying? Are you saying they will win or lose?
I think they'll still win, but it's not going to be convincing. It's not as cut and dry as you say. You say they're expected to win. I don't think that's necessarily.
Who's your favorite, Mark?
Scotland go into that and feel. Obviously, the African team that's at the Euros is the favorite.
Pro?
Same as Mark, I'll go with the African team as my favorite, but in the opener, Germany versus Scotland, I don't think there's any British side that's going to cause any problems in this competition. Germany should win it easily. But yeah, I go with my African brothers. They are definitely going to cause a havoc. With Mbappe going to Real Madrid is going to be a huge motivation for him to make a statement.
Drop us a voice note on 060 552 7303. Waking up, turned up.
Hi, Ma'a. Uchiko Emden. Good show as always. Ma'a, it came as no surprise that Bongani Zungu is parting ways with Sundowns. Let's be honest. Had it not been close relations between himself and the coach, Urlani Mukwena, I don't think the guy deserved to play for Sundowns. I mean, to be ahead of the likes of Kulise in that midfield role, and Abo Obas, he was just made a favor by the current coach. He never deserved to win that Sundowns team, and for me, it came as no surprise. Good luck to him, but I think he has slowed down in terms of the current football pace, even in the Premiership. With Chico MD, I thank you.
Evening, Andile Machitara. Yo. Zungu, fana umfuki ngufelerite Zungu Spani mus. Aishintwane man, vina man, President ama 2000. Otherwise, I'm just kidding. Bongani Zungu udlezi Europe. Mara Lena was disappointed that we are South African. I was expecting more from here na go Europe, not to come back. Mara better like next time. I kaibuza rutlo ya guy. Uchebe kana ya Chiefs. Maybe. Aratsebi.
I go to Chiefs.
Chiefs ya top. Aina direction. Chiefs are from Nari.
Hey, hi Andile. I must play men umufukeng after isibobo kuzungu. La sibobo yenze into bana ngaba uzungu akhululwe iSundowns. Look at umanqoba after substitutiwe uzungu wangena wayengavumelani no coach Rolani, but after ekwenzeke kulonto kwangena isibobo yayigoal, so bamrelease ngakhona because of that mistake, and igame ke idlalwa part of the mistakes bakhona egamini.
No, I don't think so.
Singekho mistakes ayikho igame.
No, I can't. Not based on one mistake. Play one more there before.
Good evening, gents. Let's say you allow the coach to sign his preferred players, and then he doesn't do well, what's gonna happen in the next coach? So he's gonna be allowed to sign his preferred players also.
Ask yourself, how does it work around the world?
I think the club should sign the players, and then the coach must improve them and win titles.
All right, thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you for being part of the show. Mark, enjoy. Please pass our love and our greetings and salutations to Ronwen Williams. Tell him, whenever he needs the support, we're here for it. That's a man whom we've got to keep very happy as South Africans. Thank you so much, Pro Pilani. We'll see you next week again. You're off season, so allow you on season. Myself and my entire team. Hey, guys, I appreciate you. Pera, pera. Nganso me.